Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, okay. I will try to share first of all. So we manage that thing. Hello, everybody, again. And we will start slowly, and whoever else, they can join. I have opened double windows here. I managed. So I've opened double the windows this time. On the last class, we can manage exactly. So what is this here? Okay, a full screen?
Perfect.
Finally, yeah, I opened like 2-3 windows just to be sure. Yeah, it's the laptop. If I had a normal computer, it would be fine. So, okay, great. Now, we will just refer to 3-4 plays that we have already done in Toposalou. We will see some pictures. So I would like you to, in general, think about what you would like to do. There are some students that are already doing stage design. So, I mean, they could continue there. But, so, we will talk about certain playwrights today. So if something interests you, if you don't know them, it doesn't matter. I have most of the information here, and then the rest you can find. And we can find the plays also. Yes, Maria? And we can find the... Kalispera. We can find the plays also if you want. It's not a problem in English. Until next week, you can think about it, you know, a little bit what you want to choose. But there's a lot of information here. So even if you don't know someone, your first steps will always be to find a bit more about his life and biography. It's very important. It's reflected in his plays, always. So we need his own biography. We need his life, social, political conditions. And in my opinion, the most difficult thing, it has also been for me many times, it has to be if we will imagine the costumes and this play today. Meaning that if we are doing something that's really many centuries ago, that we will not follow the fashion as it was then. Because, I mean, in theater, this is not connected to reality. So when I'm saying question mark 20th century, 20th century in general is still not the past for all of us in theater. So considering anything from 1900 until today is still considered contemporary. So these are the thoughts that you should keep some notes today. Regarding the play, if you know it, if you don't know it, you should think always, where would you place it and why would you place it? So we then go on to find, where are they wearing? What are they wearing? And most of these plays, because the writers are very famous, have been done in film, both in European history and films, and of course, American. So I cannot tell you how much it could be online, but I'm going to hide myself 1 second. So, okay, Beckett. Impossible not to put Beckett here, first of the first. As we first did a play 2007, and I wish we haven't done the plays so we could do them again. So he's one of the most important personalities in theater. His plays are still every day performed. There is a very strong Beckett audience that could also follow the plays wherever they are played. It's good. I've seen many, let's say, versions of his plays, but the important is that this is a funny story. you know that Beckett is considered the theater of the absurd. Okay, but when he wrote the plays, not now. So in general, times have changed a lot. We still have different kinds of absurdity, let's say, around us. So somehow about 15, 20 years ago, we were performing. So we had this strange lady that would come to all the performances, very well prepared and read. And she would read all the critics and she would come. So she would be like standing sometimes asking, now she's too old, unfortunately. And she would say, Beckett, huh? So he's the theater of the absurd. And I was like, yeah, probably not in nowadays. She says, yeah, that's very clear because the absurd is in our lives right now. So back then it was something totally different for him, but for us it exists. So Beckett is like a dream. He's in a dream between life and death, between reality and non-reality, whatever that would mean for each one of us, because the only way you are expressing a play or you're doing costume or stage design is what comes from you and nothing more. So his plays then were characterized of minimalist settings. The dialogue was repetitive, and many people said, okay, this is very crazy. Why would they keep repeating? So this repeating dialogue was as if we had to understand things more from one side, and then from the other, we had to express that just things and our life just went in circles. Beckett used to say that our life and death is between the shoes that we put in the morning until we leave them by our bed at night. And then this just goes on every day, every single day of our life until we die. And you won't know something like this unless you're older in the next years. But at some point, Beckett becomes so clear and so understanding. So his plays, I think, will just go on forever. So Beckett is a dream. His themes are in the core of all his plays and all his themes and all his ways of writing is the existential despair. Probably he was born in despair, died in despair. Maybe he didn't think anything changed. Who knows? There's a lot of reading about Beckett. So he's always reflecting the futility, the absurdity of your human existence. He thinks of us as really small. His most famous play is Waiting for Godot, written like this, Godot, in French many times. Lots of thoughts of Godot being God, something that's never there. We cannot see it. It never comes. His two characters are amazing. I think one of the most important roles in theater. So you have to see that they're seemingly meaningless. Nothing is meaningless in conversations. And I think it's like our minds just works in circle. It's the same with Beckett. They're always waiting. They're not doing things. Many of us still act like this, just waiting and waiting. And at some point, there's no more waiting. So this was our play. The play was written 1948, 1949. This was one of our most difficult designs, stage designs, but it tried to be like a nowhere land or like a dream. It was all white and gray. And it had some characteristics. So the only elements that were around, this is like a half a bridge, but the elements were pieces like of other plays of Beckett. So there were little clues. So like from Krapp's Last Tape, or there were many clocks because he's obsessed with time and passing. So these are two main characters, Vladimir and Estragon. This is from the end game. Many of our pictures, not all, but many are also on our Facebook page from our performances, and you can see more costumes and stage design there. I think there are more than our site. So here we don't even need to see the costume. Here is a whole setting. It's always the same theater stage. And although here it looked really black and really empty, I mean, you have to have an idea. It was like there was a window really high, 4 meters high, and there's a light there. So the only feeling that they had of daylight was something like this. And hopefully the lighting managed to do that. Usually Beckett's plays do not have too many colors, okay? I mean, this dream, you have to think about it. It's like a dream. It's like when we don't wake up in the morning and we are like between dreaming and waking, and sometimes we're having the strangest of images. This is how Beckett is. So he was born at the beginning of the century. He died 1989. His plays, of course, except from Godot, is The Endgame, Krapp's Last Tape, Happy Days. And always the themes and the concepts are the same. The time, memory, and human condition. You should think of him like it's inside a mind. If we could portray something inside a mind, I think Beckett would be the most to the point. So he wanted to be so minimal and so clear that many of his plays were written first in French, that he didn't know the language so much. So he wanted to keep it simple. And then they were translated to English. So that tells you something from the beginning. So he wanted the audience. I mean, people think, oh, he's heavy, oh, he's too much drama, but he really wanted the audience to engage and think as much as possible. Yes, his contribution has been monumental. It's not has been, it is continues to be, and I think will be forever. If I'm saying that he's like a dream, I think he's like a dream to eternity. So he shaped the idea of how contemporary drama and performance has to be. Even if you see if you see his plays like 100 years before and after, they really seem alike a lot. So I think he was the epitome of pessimism, as you can understand. So you're on Earth, there's no cure for that. This is just to laugh a bit. So nothing is more real than nothing, and the clock. A clock is very important. So it keeps ticking. So maybe in different, let's say, speeds when you're younger and older, but it keeps ticking. So here is again from Godot. This is Lucky. We will see the characters. There are 5 characters. So the concepts. This is a way to analyze a play anyway for your costume, stage, whatever. So you need the concepts right next to you. So there's human despair, emptiness, nothingness, reality of a dream, minimalism, lost in time, absurd death. And the question is always, what would this be if it was an image? What would this be if it was a costume? There's always somehow that it can be. So this is quite a difficult costume. It was all with belts because he's somebody that his master is always, having him around in a string, pushing him around, pulling him around. So the idea was that his whole costume was strapped. So I use pencil and watercolor. I do mostly practical sketches. I'm self-taught in costume design. It's much more experience and too much drawing at the beginning, but never fashion design and never originally costume design. So this was managed. I think there were like 40 belts. I don't remember anymore. I think there were 40 belts. So he's the servant, he's the master. This is Ponzo. And he's carrying, usually in the play, I think he's carrying also a chair for his master. So there were belts everywhere, heavy for the actor. It's good he was not so long on the stage. And so he's the master. I think one of the films that could seem like Beckett would be something in the future and something after the destruction of Earth, or any of the wonderful films that have to do with people surviving. So if we have characters just roaming around, probably their costumes need a lot of pockets. They need to be strong. They need to wear boots, gloves, hats. We don't even know where they are. Are they in the middle of the desert? In the middle of the universe? And then usually in our theater, there's always an element of era, like a vest, like maybe it's not too old, maybe it's the 60s or something, but there's always there an element that's usually the vests. I think I have them everywhere. They have to do with the men's specific costumes. So what was the idea of these fabrics? So these fabrics are heavy and they are like furniture material, I would say. I really love it because I really need them to have all the seams where you could see them. It was like they were done inside out. There were pockets, everything. So this is the smaller guy here, Estragon and Vladimir. And in reality, I mean, even if we've done the play, even if we are part of the process, I could really tell you that there are scenes that keep repeating so much that sometimes the actors could be lost, somebody else could be lost. The audience didn't, because it was kind of, whirling around and around 3 times the same thing. So the audience is okay, is in a dream. So all the costumes had this thing. They had these colors everywhere. All this stage design is handmade. There's foam underneath, lots of gauze and lots of glue. And all the costumes were a bit like hand stitched, like you made them by hand. They were not made by hand, but this is the idea. So here was a little pond. Here there were lights and the famous Godot tree. There's always a tree far. I wish we had like a huge theater that had maybe 10 meters in the font, and then we would show the tree like really far. So this is Ponzo and Lucky. The actor was eating chicken in every performance. He would just sit down there and eat and drink because his servant would carry everything. You can see the belts here. Maybe I put a bit less because they were quite. And of course, he's a figure of authority, the master. So there are some symbols here in the costume. We talked a bit how the fur, the animals, or wearing a fur sometimes doesn't have to do with being cold or hot. So it's an idea of authority. And then all the colors would be mostly the same. He even had some like small pieces of belts here, but his vest was some kind, more like nicer fabric. Maybe once upon a time, he was in a different environment and not roaming around endlessly. So there's just a hint of something. And the fifth character in this play is an angel. The word angel in Greek and in other language, it's not only the angel, but it's the messenger, like in tragedy. So angel, but of course, the words are very important in Samuel Beckett because an angel is also somebody connected to God. So if there's any idea of God there, there is an angel that appears once and then twice, and then is supposed to be some kind of hope, saying that yes, this whoever it is, Godot will come. So in this play, it should be usually a boy or somebody. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but in this play we had a woman perform as this character, and she had a bit of everything. I'll go back and come back. I'll show you why. So um, she was again in white, but when she came, she appeared with a huge blue fabric, just like a symbolic thing. And she had this era uh, collar. So here, the pictures are not all the same. So here is an up close picture. So see here on the costume how all the seams are double stitched, and many times anything you see hanging around, all these threads, they're in purpose. I mean, I did it afterwards, imagine. So even his vest is a bit, I mean, this, we had to do this all by hand. And then the costumes were also patterned, like with a brown color afterwards. They needed to be worn out. I mean, they were too clean and too pretty and too new, so they had to be dirtied, as we said in another, uh, when we talked about the material. So Beckett also did the film, and he did it with Buster Keaton, which he thought, and we all think, that this was an amazing character and face directly. I mean, really connected. But this is Beckett here, but see all the environment. So you can understand how it's very close. This is inner despair, I would say. Indoors, but like being outdoors in his place. So this is part of the film. I mean, everything is ruined. We would have no idea what this character is wearing, maybe a trench coat. At the back, we have a little bit of some, let's say, little details of when the costumes are, beginning of 20th century here, but we don't really need to know also. But just the face is exactly. And this is part of the film. So, I mean, the austerity and how clean and minimal this space is. There's many spaces you could research. This is exactly what it feels like in Beckett's plays. And then you could do a crazy thing and they would say, oh, I have a room like this, but then I could, place it in the middle of the desert, let's say. You would open the door. You've seen films like that. And instead of going out in the tree, in the street, you go out in the desert. Matrix is a good example. Mad Max films are a good example. So if there are ever going to be people surviving the whole of humanity, who knows what it will look like. Cinematography is doing a lot on that part. So would you like any question about Beckett? I'm moving on to the next one, but we can talk at the end also. Peace and quiet, as I say. Okay, let's move. because we hope to cover them all. So Tennessee Williams. I didn't want to replace this difficult word here, seminal. They knew from then that with his plays, Tennessee Williams was a writer that he would strongly influence his present and the future of theater in general. Very important figure in American theater. Yes, something? Okay. Renowned what he's very critical, poignant, if you want to say, tragic plays, exploring human conditions with really, I mean, very emotional intensity. Most of his plays, there's some dramatic event back there that we wouldn't know about. Streetcar Named Desire, we said a bit about Kazan last time, The Glass Menagerie. They delve into themes that are very favorite for him, but for reasons like desire, and it's not only erotic, mental illness, and of course, the basis of all, the fragility of human relationships. Relationships were quite hard for him also. So this is very much expressed in their plays. So all the characters in Tennessee Williams are struggling. They're struggling a lot with their own inner demons, desires, society pressures, name it, you name it. Something that I really like how it's put Southern Gothic style. So he was from the South, and yes, there was an airy Gothic style at those times. I mean, the South of America is somewhere lost in jungles and very strange, hot and humid environments, and people really behave differently there than the rest of the world. His dialogues were very poetic. His characters were very flawed. I mean, they had all the problems of the world together, but all of them are very sympathetic. And here is a question, of course, because I mean, we would sympathize because we would see lots of flaws that maybe are our own. Complexity of human emotion, and from the other hand, always real life is really very harsh on these characters. Lyrical quality of his plays, but most of all, what we've been saying, very profound, very deep psychological insight. So he made a lasting impact. It still lasts. It still goes on to the future. These people may not have lived for too many years, but they're here among us in the theater world. And every year and every month, somewhere they are performed, and even in films, not only in plays. So here I have a link for his biography, but of course there's a lot of information on the internet. And here is a link. If we have some time at the end, we will see it. There's all the movies that have been made by his theater plays, a bit adapted, but of course they are, they are based on his plays. So this is Tennessee Williams in More Happy Times, and his sister Rose. So this was the source of one of his deepest sorrows, and not letting him ever be happy, because you cannot read about a Tennessee William play and not know about him and his sister Rose. So the story is that his sister had lots of mental problems, and somehow I don't know how this state allowed something like that, but at some point, and she was still not so young, but quite young. In a way, they believed then with all the science experiments they were making, and they actually practiced a lobotomy in order to make her quieter because she had seizures. I mean, she lived to be an old age, but I have no idea to what extent. William really, Tennessee really stayed close to her. But this is a story that is present everywhere. It's present everywhere. So, one of the, we're going to see this little clip, but I would like to see it on the end. It has to do with Suddenly Last Summer. It's of the film, of the famous film with Elizabeth Taylor. But I'm just showing you a bit the idea of the garden in the South and how the characters are. I mean, quite simple for their time. So even though it's not a very good picture, Elizabeth Taylor here, Montgomery Cliff. So it's usually a garden or somewhere in a garden or near a beach. So this is how we think at the beginning about the costumes. But of course, in those times, like in the 50s, when this was performed, I mean, it was quite too strict fashion-wise, in my opinion. And so we would say that this is the play that really, we did it in Greece some quite many years ago. And in all our plays, we usually have it's not like let's say, it's not an adaptation, but in this play, the idea and the concept of memory was very strong because two of the main incidents in this play was some stories that the actors, the characters would like to, forget. So the stage was all white, very few furniture. This is Mrs. Venable here. Let me see which pictures I have here. Yes. So this is the main character. So there's a bit of, let's say, leaves and everything. There's some curtains. The whole thing is white. Somewhere, a dream, I would say again. Okay, so she's, and I will go back for the costumes, but was the idea. This is something that you saw in light design. You talked about that, I'm sorry, above all, I didn't rename myself. This is funny, but I'll do it. So you saw actually that lights could make some shapes. So the only, let's say, shapes that we had, I'm going to put this aside also. So the only shapes that we had we wanted like a deep jungle, but like an idea, right? So there was these nice cutters that you put on the lamps, and you can see some leaves or trees or something. So the lighting was very important in this performance, as in all, but so it's been done also in theater and film. This is one of something more new that I wanted you to explore later. So the costumes. So the costumes had a little bit of 50s, 60s, around. I cannot tell you. It's not clear. Everything was white, a bit of gray, and the main character, she was red. So she wore three pieces. She had a she had a feeling, she was a very tiny actress and very slim. So the feeling, every time she moved, she had a different color inside her skirt, and then she had a different color inside her blouse, a bit of white and gray. So here is the doctor is actually seeing her, and she's thinking, I mean, she had a very strong scene of recounting a very bad experience. We will see a bit the trailer and you will understand, but she's the only one actually in red. And everything was white. The floor was white, double wood on the floor with some holes for the leaves here and there. And the floor was hand painted. 3 people took us a week on the floor, on our knees, on our tummy. I can't remember anymore. It's too long. And here's the character. So this Mrs. Venable is a bit, so she's the shrewd character, but she's a bit older. So she's wearing a bit something from some years ago, let's say the fashion. And then the doctor, I think, is the person that is actually more in his time. And he's not wearing a jacket. We need him to be more, he's very important and everything he says. He's talking about memory a lot. So he wore a long coat instead of a jacket. And of course, he had a characteristic accessory like this one. That's a doctor's bag. And because this is a character that is like she always thinks there's something wrong with her. She needs attention. She's not sick, of course. In order to make this really strong in the play, she had like a 3-tire little furniture here with wheels that had 100 of little bottles on there. She would use one or the other, but it was just there like a symbol to show. I mean, this is a stage design part, but actually it's like it's her accessory. It goes with her and her character. So sometimes this is the fact. So we're not only thinking about costumes. I need to go back instead of front. So there's a nurse in the characters of Mrs. Venable, and there's something like a secretary. I mean, even the nurse, she's not a nurse. Don't ask me exactly what she is or what she's wearing. She's wearing a cape that maybe we think she's some kind of nurse. She's wearing a white shirt and pants underneath, though. She's quite modern. She's not like a nun. Let me see. So here we are. So I told you before a bit about the 50s and everything. So because this character, I think she's the one that has more elements of that fashion. And actually, it's a bit like a dress, but it's like a coat. She would wear it the whole time. And her hat was a bit exaggerated, but still the colors. She had a very nice fabric with some nice hues and gray and things and beige and all that. But otherwise, colors are all the same. Only white stands out, as you can see here. So this is the kind of garden in the film. This was our play. There's many plays. And let me show you something a bit more contemporary. Here she's much more colorful. This is a wonderful actor, Blythe Dunner. She's a wonderful actor for many years. You might not know her. She's the mother of Gwyneth Paltrow. She's a wonderful actor even now in her 80s. So you see here, again, how many years later, we still have the basic white costume here. I mean, we need to emphasize a bit that it's summer. But then she's in her house. The garden is blooming behind her, and she has this Oriental fashion, let's say. She was quite a character. She could do whatever she liked. And she liked to draw attention so much. So you would need to have a costume like to draw attention. That would be the main idea for you. So let's move on a bit. Henrik Ibsen, thank God for the Scandinavian writers. They changed a lot for women in this century. And there's many plays, but here we've done both The Doll's House and Hedda Gabler, but The Doll House is his most well-known. He's often referred as the father of modern drama. He revolutionized theater. He was very realistic in his approach of storytelling, very realistic. I mean, watching an Ibsen play, you're practically in the house of the characters. He's focusing a lot on social issues, a lot of in women's positions, and a lot of individual psychology. So you can understand there's a lot of character analysis here. So these are three of his most important plays. His times were more romantic, we would say, but he wasn't. His plays were realistic and they were hard on social issues, and he would make his point. There's a lot of reading one can do about Ibsen. It's amazing. There's more reading about Ibsen than there is about Shakespeare. This I have to tell you. So he really wanted to be on the other side of romantic, melodramatic. So he really focused on presenting very complex characters and in very morally ambiguous situations. I mean, The Doll's House, if you know it, could not be more realistic of a situation. So he critiques a lot of society normalities like marriage, first of all, gender roles, family dynamics, uh, conflict between individual desires and society expectation. I mean, this is a conflict since ancient Greek tragedy, but here it was really very strong. Everyday language, realistic settings. He wanted a realistic setting, even if many directors don't do that anymore. But he really wanted to focus more on the situation than the settings. We should talk about him like a modernist, realist in all the movements of theater. His plays are very enduring. This is a funny expression. They're enduring fixtures in the repertory of theater worldwide. Then, now, and in the future. All the actual artists we're talking about here today. So, The Dollhouse. Nora is the main character. It's a dollhouse. A dollhouse may be a children's play, but you can understand the symbols behind that because it's a smaller version of a house. And in the Victorian era, I mean, these things were very expensive and they would just have them there for girls. And you might think, yeah, what a nice thing this is. Whenever I see them, I really admire them. But on the other hand, it was like a reality in front of you that for women, this is where you will live like forever in a house with rooms, family, children, kitchen. I mean, every little detail was in a dollhouse. So, I mean, the dollhouse is also in many horror films, I have to tell you. So, even this play here, it's from the old Vic, the young Vic, it's quite simple. I mean, from the moment here, I did not have to tell you who the main character is. She's wearing red. So this is Nora and her husband. And yes, the corset is excellent, I would say. And the thing is, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. This play here has the corset and some elements of the beginning of the century, but in general, it's very well contemporary. Very soft elements of another era. So here we are because the main character, this play has an ending, but not an ending. It's something that is left open. Does she stay? Does she go? What does she do? She's very well pressed by society. She wants to leave. So the play kind of insinuates that she commits suicide, but I've seen a German play and she kills her husband. And we made a play and she left. So the ending was open. And it's Christmas, as you can understand from small details here. It's Christmas, and at some point she expresses herself too much. So she wears a kind of a crazy dress and does a crazy dance. So let's talk about these characters a bit. So it's a doll's house. When we did the play, instead of calling it the dollhouse, we called it Nora After. So there are plays written later that suggest that she left and she was free from her husband. And there was an after for Nora. Very important. So I need to turn to the light a bit. I'm sorry. So Nora is the protagonist of the play. She's portrayed as a frivolous and naive housewife. She's not naive. She's a housewife. There's nothing else she can be. But she's not frivolous and she's not naive. The story progresses and her character is very strong and intelligent. And we see very clearly that she really wants to be independent. It's very clear. She decides, I mean, the end is that she decides to leave her husband and children, that she cannot bear this life anymore. And she needs to gain independence. But even in the play, it's not very clear, not very clear. So, I mean, I have an image for you here. You don't even have to know which era, which play, which year, whenever. Okay, he's wearing suspenders, but they're back in fashion. So it doesn't really matter. This is very elementary, very symbolic of a husband. And you need to see the details. I mean, he's well dressed and everything. He's in total despair. There's some kind of letter he tore up here. And this is an American thing a lot. I mean, you see it in films. He's wearing his wedding ring. You have to watch the films very clearly. In American films, sometimes you will know somebody is married because he's wearing a band. Sometimes they're not wearing the band, but there's a white line here in women or in men, meaning that what? They lost their husband or wife, or they are separated, but there's always a camera close-up here. So very clear picture of what is going on. So this is Torvald, Nora's husband. He's a bank manager, traditional 19th century male chauvinistic attitude towards his wife for sure. He treats Nora more like a possession or a child than an equal partner. He has a condescending and controlling behavior, and this is his main character analysis. And this is part of why Nora realizes that she has to go. But he's not in very good position. He has some problems that she tried to save. She actually, Nora, tried to save him. So Here is another image of this. It's quite simple, the design, but they really want us to know that there's a box in a box. So there is a house in a stage. So we have a bad guy here, not exactly bad, but anyway, Krogstad Nils is a lawyer. He works at the bank, and he actually gave Nora money in order to save him from various other problems. It's in secret. That's the biggest problem. And so he's not considered so moral, but he has other things in his mind also, but there has to be a bad character here. So at the beginning, we think that he likes Nora, so that he's like an antagonist, but it's revealed a bit further on that he really wants a relationship with another woman character. So, so most of these plays at the beginning, if you don't actually know them, the way they develop, things just keep coming up. And this is the interesting part. So this is Mr. Linde. You see how actually Nora and all the women here, they're wearing some kind of tight bodice, like a corset, but not exactly. So the skirt is from up here down there, so it's slim and down like the fashion would be beginning 1900, but it's not exactly, not exactly. Uh, it's not even, I don't know, it's a bit of, sorry here. Yes. Yes, what they're trying here is to have an idea that the fashion is corset and tights, tight skirt all the way to the ground. So the form is a bit near the fashion, but in general, both women here, in general, it's totally contemporary. This is a conversation area. Yeah. In many plays, and I can tell you that it's more the fact in comedies and less in even the dramas, but in general. If the colors and the scenes and the forms in a play are too crazy, I mean, it's not exactly theater, and this kind of theater. This kind of theater, we really need to hear the words. We really need to hear the text. So if we are distracted too much with stage or costume, it's really not good. So if you see something that is too much of everything in there, probably the direction is not good, or the director didn't know what to do, and then everybody else was doing too much. So yes, I mean, then we talked about this in the first class. I mean, then would be a musical, it would be an opera, it would be a film, because a film in 2 hours, the camera has no problem. I mean, it could show you long distance, it could show you details, but imagine that you are in a theater play for 2 hours and you are at the audience and you have live actors. I mean, you need to be concentrated somehow. And the use of the color, the lights, the costume, it's all part of that. Thank God you've seen them only in musicals. That would be the correct, or opera. Nobody listens to what they sing in opera. You can do what you like with the costumes. But these kind of color schemes, as I showed you in other presentations, I mean, you need to find your color scheme. This is wonderful. Just, I mean, you know, uh, I'll come back, but see the colors. I mean, even Christmas has a little bit of red. That's all. Of course, it's the north of Europe, okay? It's not the Mediterranean. That would be different. So there's a lot of brown and earth colors and a lot of white. And the white is quite, enhanced when it comes to lighting. Let's come back here. So we have the other two basic characters, because after that we have children and some people passing by. So we have Mrs. Linde, an old friend of Nora. She's a widow. So she's helping Nora in a bit. She's supporting. She has lived a difficult life, the one Nora is experiencing. So they used to know each other with Krogstad. So in a way, the evil character would be redeemed a bit. And it's important that we see two other characters managing, being free and going on with a relationship. And so we have a doctor, Dr. Rank. I mean, most of these plays I've showed you before, there's another doctor. There's always a doctor. He's a close family friend of the husband. He's secretly in love with Nora. He doesn't do much about that. He already knows that he's ill and he will die. And in a way, he will help. So he's very sincere and very candid, talking about Nora, about life and love. And in general, he's totally the opposite of everybody else. He's like a balance. So here are two articles. This is from the performance, and this is another review. These are, I think, both are from the same performance, a theater performance meaning. We will see if we have some time, but the links are there for you. So Luigi Pirandello. Here's another one, the surreal. There's no way I wouldn't have a surreal here person. The best writers to do costumes. He was an Italian playwright, novelist, short storyteller. He's considered one of the most significant figures, him also in the 20th century literature. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1934. They talk about him as bold and brilliant, renovation of the drama and the stage. So Pirandello's work often explores themes of identity, reality, and the nature of the truth. Keep that in mind, the nature of the truth. There's as many truths, as many as we are, actually. So somewhere there, he's lost between fiction and reality. And I think this is one of the nicest themes in all his plays. And he's very interesting to watch. And he seems non-coherent, I would say, that you wouldn't understand at the beginning, but no. So here's a play that we love and we performed. It had the original Italian title, Così è se vi pare. What is what it seems, okay? But then it had many titles and they're all nice and funny. And it is so if you think so. Right you are if you think you are. So anything actually that is or you think, it's your own opinion. As many truths as the characters. The play delves into the nature of truth and subjectivity. So it's our own subjectivity of human perception. It revolves around the arrival of a mysterious family in a small Italian town. Mr. Ponza, his wife, and his mother-in-law, Mrs. Frolla. That's what they say at the beginning. That's we think is quite simple, but it's not so simple. The people of the town, they're very curious about this family because they're living in very strange ways. So the couple is living in an apartment and which is quite nice of where it is. And then the mother-in-law is living in another apartment above, not in a such good, let's say, location. Άντε πάλι. Okay.
Τι είναι, Μίκα?
No, nothing, τίποτα. Το πάνω διαβάζω. Πάνω, you need to explain all this because I see the chat in very funny way here. But we need to discuss about all this. I mean, it's interesting for everybody. So let's move on.
We can do it
Yes?
at the end. We can do
Yes,
it at
yes,
the
we
end.
can. We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
time.
of course.
No
Of
problem.
course, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me see. 1 second. Okay, so need to move this because I'm losing my image here. Sorry. So, you can't see very well. It's only the idea of surrealistic play. So here we are. I was going to show you part of these costumes when you do the pattern making with Maria, because we had great difficulty here. We really experimented. So beginning of the century, yes, kind of forget about it. Don't ask me. I don't know exactly where it is. The whole concept was that we are somewhere else. All the costumes had a very surreal. Somebody talking? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Sometimes the microphones. No, it's okay. I'll go up again. Great. So they were quite symbolic. Let's see the summary a bit. It's quite complicated, so it's something only if you read that you would manage, but just a bit. So here's the family arriving in a small town. And he's actually saying that his wife is a different person. So each character has a different idea. So he's saying he's a different person. Mrs. Frola is saying that Mr. Poncha is wrong and the woman is living with him, is indeed her daughter, but Mr. Poncha is kicking them apart due to his mental instability. So there's a lot of mental instability talked about and actually stated. I don't think you actually come to a result with a play, but that would not be the case. There's a character that we never see, so the wife is not directly seen, but it's a subject of conflicting testimonies. Each character has a different testimony of when they saw her, why, before, and after. And the townspeople is a bit like a chorus, you should think. So we had some prominent figures, saw the counselor, and we had another one that was like the policeman, and we had them actually in video because usually in Pirandello's plays, there's so many characters, he forgets who they are. They come and go, and sometimes they don't appear until the end. This is something you would research if you chose him. So the truth, I would say, is never revealed. So we need to be masters in exploration about the truth, complexities of human perception, what each thinks and how they see it. So the truth is a subject of each character. The play explores how truth can be subjective and how different perspectives can coexist, each as valid as the other. Everything they say seems natural. Everything they say, the audience thinks they are correct. Reality vs perception, it challenges the notion of an objective reality, suggesting that what we believe to be true is shaped by our own perception and beliefs. So we are very right of what we believe. For us, it's the truth. And identity and madness. A bit deeper in psychology, the characters' conflicting views raise many questions. Identity, sanity, reliability of human perception. So The most important, it invites the audience to reflect on the nature of reality, an often elusive quest for certainty in a world filled with differing perspectives and interpretation. And just imagine that when this play was written, and even later when we played it, and even later, I mean, we didn't even have social media. Social media is an exact example of what realities exist for each of us and how much of things are true or wrong out there. So let's see a bit. So the concept of the costumes was one. They had to be not normal, out of this, let's say, world in a way, and they characterized how each role had to go around. Because the story of the play is quite, in a way, let's say, it's quite connected with everyday civil life and bureaucracy. I would just leave it there. What I designed, but designing it to doing it was a very long way, was that I needed many colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say. So I needed all these colors to show how stiff these persons were. And they would just, they really didn't move their heads. But then if you remember, we were saying from here is the collar, here's the neck, right? So about here, let's say if we could draw a line, about here would be the shoulder. So, okay, you could put some padding. All right, we had 10 centimeters, a minimum of 10 centimeters high for this coat. Impossible. How would you do? I mean, they've done it in some fashion collections, but a fashion collection is not worn by an actor. It's worn once, somebody sees them, and that's all. We don't care after that. So we had to come out with a way that the actors needed to really move their hands, their shoulders, and everything. So for me, it's quite clear here. The pictures are not so clear, but finally, thinking in many ways, Maria came with this wonderful solution. So Maria made actually these men's costumes. And what did we do? The sleeves are worn separately. So the sleeves are worn before you wear your jacket, actually. The sleeves are on the position they have to be here. And then the coat is like a big vest, let's say, okay? So it's a coat, but it doesn't have sleeves. So the coat really stays on you, like you have a heavy padding collar. It's about here. So 10 is quite a lot. I mean, 10 is a lot for a costume and for an actor to move. So the jacket is up here, so they could really move freely. We never had a chance to use something like this again, but many times when you will have difficulties making something, there's only one actual, let's say, advice. You need to disconnect things and see where they need to be in order for the actors to be able to wear them. So, and then the characters, the concept, let me go back a bit. So here we had the colors, okay? And here you cannot see it so much, but the idea was that they were a bit suffocating. So they all had strange colors. And the colors were not Elizabethan. They had an idea from that, but they had to be a bit strict in their clothes. So the characters had strange colors. They could hide behind them or you could see, depending on how you moved. So they stayed up like this. And then the sleeves were quite separate. So if I decided that the fashion of the sleeves had to be like that, I mean, some of the women had it. And here, unfortunately, I couldn't find all good. There's more pictures on Facebook. I couldn't find very good pictures that you could see the costumes better. Here, her skirt, there's a big top, like a dress, and there's a skirt. So, and the skirt is double colored, like gray. And this character, I will tell you a bit more, but he's an extra character. He does not exist in the play. He was put there like a commentator. And let me move. Here we are. You can see there's a lot of video in this performance. This is a bit before the end. So we're searching of the identity of these women. So we're seeing many women. So I'm the main character here, and all the characters, you can see it a bit here. They have like a shark's fin here on the side. Totally surreal. Here you can see a bit the colors again. And most of the women are like lost behind it. And here is the commentator who sat on the side on his chair, drinking the tea and just trying to explain or make more difficult, who knows, the situations of the performance to the audience. And of course, Pirandello, like Beckett, has a lot of symbolism with time. So the clock was always here. So this is a bit clear for the costumes. Here you cannot recognize her, but it's Lambrini under all this frivolous, difficult costumes. And and this main character, as she appeared at the beginning, she started taking pieces off. She had different sleeves, and there's no way to describe the era, the style. It's a new style. It's theater, and it's for this play and none other. Okay, now before our talking, and I'm gonna show the video I have to show, but I have it open. But so from here, you're always free to choose something else. But here, from what we've done, and if somebody needed to go back from the beginning, there's no other way. If you need to work on a concept, unless you have really studied, it's been more than 14 weeks, I think now, you need to go back from the beginning and see what you've learned. So interesting costumes, very interesting characters that you need to research, to tell us about the play and the summary, to tell us about the characters, the writers if we need. And this is required, and it's in written. And then we go on to do whatever you like. You could sketch, you can design, you can do collage, you can find pictures, you can find ways in order to do costumes. So Medea, Macbeth or Hamlet, we talked about. William Shakespeare in general. If you want a comedy, you can go to Shakespeare. I'm not keen with comedies, I have to say that. But Shakespeare has a lot of comedies, and we talked a lot about comedies. And they've done in plays. You can find them in films. There's a lot of material there. We have Marivaux, a French writer, because we saw costumes. Beckett, Williams, Pirandello, Ibsen, and Strindberg also. It's not only Ibsen, but there's many wonderful plays here. So you could think what you would like, and I find them all, but if you have problem, I can find you the play. I can find any play online. It's not a problem, in English, I mean. So I can find the whole play, but also you don't need to find the play. You can read about it and you can find the characters. but this is a work you have to do. And I do not mind if you've never heard of a play. Maybe better. Never heard of a play. There's plays I've never heard about. But I can go online and in an hour, try and understand what is the play about? What are the main characters? What do they express? I mean, there are sites that you can actually discuss about each character and how they could be in a play. Any character you want, just to be sure that you know who you're talking about and who you're searching about, right? So let me go back. To be sure, I'm gonna copy it, but I think I have it. Let me just go out because I think I already opened I already have okay, I cannot minimize. I'm gonna share again. Okay, let's see what is open. No. Let us see. 1 second. So I'm minimizing. So bear with me 1 minute. Okay. Yes. 1 second, please. Okay, so now I'm coming back to you in order. Okay, so we're gonna share. So this is the trailer from Suddenly Last Summer with Elizabeth Taylor. It actually, if you see it more times, it tells exactly all the points of the play and the hidden stories behind there. But I don't know if somebody can find that. I have no idea actually, but let me share now. Okay, share. And we are here. It seems quite, can you see it? Okay. Yes. All right. 1 second because I need to take you out of the way again. Okay. So it's all this music. It's quite strange. Could be Cleopatra instead of this one.
It has sound.
Δεν έχει sound.
No.
No. Ah, the sound is too popo. This is very strange because the sound is very loud. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Maybe from here. No, here it's okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it has sound. It's too much. The sound is very. Usually they have sound.
Yes, περίεργο.
No, doesn't matter. You will see the link. Better, let me close my sound also so I can talk because for me it's too loud. So I prefer it like this. So sometimes we say that if you want to understand, just see it without the sound. So anyway, it shows the house of Mrs. Venable, the garden that we saw in the picture, right? They don't talk too much anyway. There's a terrible music. So it's a bit scary, the whole thing. And it's really wonderful, the film, and it's quite wild. So this is the garden. And she comes down with an elevator, if you can imagine. They tried to put her in a house for the crazy ones. So the son of Mrs. Venable actually went to the beach with Elizabeth Taylor. And there was a big traumatic experience. And finally he dies and she sees it. So there he is. This is Tennessee Williams also. So they're trying to find, she cannot remember. They're trying to find what's her traumatic experience. So one of her was that he made her wear a white, we will see a white bathing suit. And when she went into the water, this became totally transparent, and he did it on purpose. So we never see this character, right? He's dead. And there she is. She's dressed totally out of her era. So there's a lot of interest in the play, and we need to, so this is one of the links. And we're going to play music now. Great. There we are. So the other links are more about reading in relation with the plays. So what is this music playing? I need to put the sound up, just 1 second. Here we are. Okay, there we are, finally. So I will see you next week with Maria, but you need to really think about what you want to do so we can help a bit. I can help you, I mean, with the research. So this is the time for some questions. And Pano, you need to state again all that long question, which I could not read.
Hello.
Hello.
Mika, this was not a question. This was an observation.
Observation, okay,
but
for the colors.
Sometimes before I started, before starting fashion school, when watching movies or drawing or watching drawings of others, I was saying to myself, oh, look at this. This seems so easy, but it's not. So right now, when I'm watching a comedy or a drama or anything that has very kind of simple lines and furniture and colors, this is maybe the most difficult thing to do. It seems easy, but from my personal experience, you need so much trial and error, and you need to change the colors a dozen of times before you can really come up with something.
The most
And
simple is the most difficult usually. And that's why I said modern, bring it modern wise.
And not only that, but it's simple to our eyes, but it can be extremely difficult to create also.
Yes, yes, yes. The thing is that what seems clear and simple has work behind it. And if we are considering the last 100 years contemporary for theater, the internet is amazing because we can study what we want and then we can decide on colors. And of course, if it's a stage design, you say, okay, let's paint it this, paint it the other, try a bit. Okay. With the paints, maybe. But with the fabrics, every year I will have a problem because I go to specific places for fabrics. So I know what I want. I can imagine something. I have the designs with me, let's say, and I cannot find what seems right. So I go once and twice, I find some of the things. Then I have to go somewhere else and I find other things. And then in a way, and then of course, I'm also not very used to the, to the light. I try them out with the light, but you can never know. And so if I'm asking to, to actually take one of these plays that are beginning of the century, let's say mostly to 2030s or something, or they are ancient, like, Shakespeare. And then the idea of a successful designer, this would be in fashion everywhere, bring it closer to us, to the audience, and then just keep very true to the actual writer. So how on earth? This is what we are actually discussing all these weeks. How do we read? What do we understand? And finally, what do we express with our, creation, let's say? So colors, now that they are available, we've seen color schemes. You can take the image that you like from Nora and you say, okay, great, give me color schemes, brown, white, red. It's really helpful. We didn't do it so easily in the past. So if we are artists, most of you have some connection with crafts, arts, painting, styling, I don't know, any kind. Your connection with material and color will prove to be your most strong asset in theater design. I mean, I don't know how else to actually put it.
Can I ask something? Have you ever been searching for a specific material, let's say fabric, and you found it, but it was not the color that you wanted, but it was the fabric that you needed? And have you then bought it and dyed it in a different color?
You can do that. Yes, it is possible. Look, it's possible if the color is something that is white, let's say, and you would like it in red. Okay, I'm saying something very easy. But one of the biggest problems is that the fabrics that we search are usually synthetic. So synthetic fabrics do not dye very easily. What works for me many times is that I search into materials and textiles that are for furniture. So I do that a lot. But I'll tell you what happened. In the Pirantello play, we had two couples in blue, two couples in white, Labrini and the other actor in white in the end, and the two tall actors in blue. At the beginning, when I did the design, I mean, I pretty much knew who would perform. I had the shorter actors in blue and the taller actors in white. So I went and found the fabrics, but the one fabric was not correct. The blue was from furniture, but it didn't. The seamstress saw it and she went crazy. We could not put it in the machine anyway. We had to change it. And because we had to change some of the fabrics and some of the inner clothes, I said, okay, think hard now. When I'm very pressed at the end, somehow we'll manage. Okay, you know what? The tall actors with the short actors had a big difference. And because the whole play was black at the behind, it was all black. I mean, if they were tall dressed in white, I mean, there would be like holes there. The whole light will be on them. If they were smaller dressed in white, it would be better. So in one day that we hadn't started the costumes and we were already late, we said, okay, make the best switch. The taller people will get the dark colors and the smaller actors would get the white colors. And it came out okay. for many reasons. It was better in the balance of the every year when we have actors, my main problem is their size one to the other. So if I have many actors, I would say, okay, great. Can I have some of this size and some of the other size? It's very hard. It's very hard to have tall men and very shorter women. How much heels can they wear? They cannot perform. It doesn't look good. Then I say, okay, which couples are with who? So can we have some here that are this size and some there that the other size? Or maybe, you know, if it happens and then one person is really tall and the others are really small, okay, let's keep with one person. So the practical things will hit you at some point. So if something is very hard with a material, you change it. You change it. I mean, you will never change the color, maybe. Like if you need the main character to wear red, okay, you will not change that, the main character. But then, okay, you can alter the situation in there because you might go out there and have a better situation. You might find something that you like so much and it's not your original. So try and change it. But this year that it's comedy again and it's a bit surreal, we're gonna keep the colors very minimal. White, gray, black, very minimal. I mean, we need to hear the text and we need the actors to be like comical, but not a circus. So it's gonna be minimal. So maybe there the choices are better. But I don't know, the experience, of course, it's not gonna be one, like I'm one or I have two assistants. The experience of a Hollywood play or a musical or something really large. I mean, there you can go crazy with 50 costumes, 100, 1,000. They do one and they do, you know, okay, let's have a yellow main costume here and another 30 behind it. I mean, they have to work like that. So I really don't know what happens there. But as you've seen in that presentation that I had Hollywood musicals and I had the colors, there's a lot of people behind there thinking. I mean, you try to paint your house, your room a color, and you might throw 2, 3 different paints out.
That's true.
I'm sure. I'm really sure. So, and if you're doing...
Madam MIKA.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening.
Yes.
I would love to ask quite a number of questions.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is about choosing the play. For example, if I decide to choose from Shakespeare, do I choose a certain book?
A book?
Okay.
About?
Yeah, like a play. Like say, I'm going to pick the
book. You mean the play, the
yes.
text, you mean? Yes, okay.
Yes. I pick any random play.
Yes.
Okay.
You can choose from the ones that I've suggested on the last page.
Yeah, because on the last page you said Shakespeare. You just
yes, but you can take anyone. You can take anyone, but
any book, any play from Shakespeare.
Any play, yes, and you don't have to do 25 characters. Okay, you can have 5 of them or 10. But in my opinion, when somebody is doing stage and costume design for the first time, the suggestion is move around the themes and the play that we already have explored, meaning that we talked about it, you understood some things. So see what you like of Shakespeare, because it could be a comedy, it could be a tragedy. And then it's something you're going to find more things. You can find more pictures about it. I mean, as you see one presentation from me, if I was doing a new play, or if I was presenting a class about like one play, I would need like 30 to 50 different images, texts, maybe interviews from the writer, YouTube. If you search, if you know the play and the name and everything, and you search in a correct way, there's a lot of material.
I have realized we have
So
done a
you
lot
can
of
choose.
examples. And saying I have realized we've done a lot of examples from Mandela, but personally I've not heard about her. Like, it was my first time to hear about her. So I've actually tried to look for a play, but unfortunately I haven't gotten in touch with any.
Okay.
And at least I've seen plays about Shakespeare, you get.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that even when I would want to write about Mandela, I'll be limited because I don't have very clear knowledge about her. I don't
Yes,
have clear
but
knowledge about
Medea,
her play.
yes, but if you like Medea, we talked a lot about her.
Yeah, we
And
did.
if you search about her, like a woman, like a character, then you would find things. So whatever you like, but you would find things. I've already had, I think in Medea, I have at least 2 or 3 links of different plays. You don't need more. Medea is a very clear concept, Medea. So
then also, I sent you a mail within the week.
yes, you did, but I didn't exactly understand. The one assignment was connected to the presentation and the characters.
Yeah, but what I was saying is I did not really understand what I was supposed to do, what was supposed to be the take home.
Just written.
Because I tried to review it, but I did not really understand.
Okay, just written research. Still, you don't know, everybody, how important written research is. And you can find everything. You don't need to invent it. But if you don't read about it, even the play, even after you read a play, you need to read about it, read about the characters, read about what other people say, what other interviews say. That's what I mean.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it. I still didn't get, sometimes I don't get the link. I don't know if I have to copy them from the videos that we have studied, or they come direct to the email. If they come to the email, I've missed out on quite a number.
Okay, you send me an email in my email what you didn't have. We have everything, and they will go on the site also. So see what you don't have, we're gonna send you again.
I'll send you a mail.
Okay, just send me a mail what you don't have. But the PPTs, I can send them directly, all of them.
Thank you.
I would strongly advise everybody. We're not inventing, point zero of costume design right here. You can choose what you like, but choose something we explored. And there's a lot of creativity there. You can do a lot of things, don't worry. Doesn't matter because we showed it. It doesn't matter because we saw pictures. Doesn't matter, just choose it again. It's gonna be your project.
Hello.
Yes? Who is it?
Hi,
Andrea.
Andrea.
Hi. Yes, hi, Andrea.
I already choose my final project for stage design, and it will be Romeo and Juliet.
Ah, yes, great. So
and
you can
I
do
will work
costumes.
the figurine of this play.
Okay. It's very interesting. There are some films that were in the 90s, 2000 that were more modern about Romeo and Juliet also. You can put them in another, they don't have to be medieval or Renaissance. You can decide if you want them to be more modern.
Okay, can you send me some link of this?
Yes,
film?
I can, yes. It's Romeo, I think one was in the 90s. but it was totally rock. We can find that. Yes.
Because I already have the draft, can I say like that?
Okay,
and
good.
I will work with colors like and shadows. Like each family has a color.
Okay.
And then the shadows have the same color. I will work with black, red, and white.
Okay.
Like Romeo is red, Julieta is black, and then the white color is when they are in love, like the good scene.
So you can, in the costumes, you need to think how to work, you know, color in color or shade in shade. You need to think about that a little bit, because if they're surrounding, you know, cannot be red in red, we will lose them. So you have to see if it's maybe all white with an element of another color.
No, we have a part of the sand that is red and the other one is black and the background is white. So like we have four person that is in one color and the other one in the other color, like 4 person each in each color. And I think about lycra, but with we are talking about this, it can be a little bit funny if the actor is not doesn't have a beautiful body.
It's not a nice material to, it's not the body. It's a terrible material to make it. It's very
now
difficult.
I'm thinking about just the legs because it can be like a musical dance.
Okay.
And I like really the legs to make some moves and to work with colors. And I'm thinking, I was looking right now of put something in the art, like in Romeo and Juliet, but with the same color, because sometimes they really disappear with the color of the family and then they come back like shadows. And I was thinking about this and to see if I can put Romeo and Juliet very modern, but sometimes their clothes can change.
Yes.
But something that is already with them, they don't have to go to change it. I was thinking this way.
Think about it. For us, it's going to be in the summer anyway. So think about it and then you can decide.
Okay, I will try to draw something and the movies.
Okay.
So thank you.
May I ask, when is the deadline?
For the costumes, it's for September, the end of August.
Thank you.
Because you need to, if you're doing stage also, or if you're doing different, you need time. You need time for all of it.
I have another question. And also a suggestion for Andrea. Lycra tends to be really difficult to work under light. So whenever I try to create something from Lycra, I always create things and I struck them with different light visions. And it's always so difficult to work with it. And the only thing that I have done and worked for me is to create with elastic bands, put elastic bands in the clothing, but having them a bit more of tailored fabric, not extremely elastic.
Okay.
So it can fit well. It can fit well, and it's also gonna give your actor more like an intimate feeling on the costume. Because like, for instance, I was trying to make something for my sister, and she felt so uncomfortable in it. So uncomfortable.
There's a lot of elastic material. I mean, you don't need lycra. Even the dancers now, they wear loose clothes, or there are elastic material that you can use. Of course, if it needs to be tights or something, you just buy ready tights. You don't have to.
I think it's not to be very tight. I want them to make a color with lights. So I think lycra can shine.
Okay, there's there's lots of, in general, there are materials that are elastic, so don't worry. I mean, you can just design or sketch something, and what material is the next. But there's so many elastic materials now.
We have some material that can shine with color, that can make a beautiful.
They shine. I mean, they shine. They are
all of them.
Yeah, I mean, there are elastic that can shine. I mean, even I don't know if there's elastic taffeta, but there are elastic like πώς το λένε αυτό, ρε παιδί, like fake leather but elastic, or totally plastic materials, but not the lycra. Lycra, I've always used it at the back. That is not shiny. And then there are materials that are shiny because they're metallic and elastic. Everything. You can even find woven materials that are, I mean, you don't have to make it right now. You can also search for materials on the internet. You know, I want shiny materials, and have a look at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, satin works really well. There are so many different kinds of satin, and there are also...
And elastic.
Yes, and also this kind of sparkling satin. It's like satin, elastic, with some sparkles. They seem like metallic threads woven into the fabric. And they have like a really nice shimmer under the light.
Thank you.
And Mika, now I need your help too.
Yes.
I'm stuck with my stage design. The colors doesn't work.
What doesn't work?
The colors.
The colors, okay.
Actually, I wanted to do it in black, but there is no way this happened. And actually, I was very interested when I saw the pictures you showed us at the start of the class with I don't remember the play. I believe that...
Godot ήταν.
Yes, your work. Yes, with bicycle.
Yes.
How did you manage to create something so interesting and so appealing with gray?
Gray. I use gray a lot, but you know what?
I just saw...
You can use...
saw that...
Instead of black, I would tell that always in the Gothic period. Instead of black, you go down and you use shades of dark gray. And it can be dark gray, dark blue, dark brown. I mean, it could seem black, but not be black. But I've used gray a lot. This year also I used gray. But I have a basic color, then I have white, and then I go on and I paint by hand. There's no other way. You think there's many colors sometimes, but it's just shadows also. So you could make a small model, maqueta or something, and you can paint it normally with a brush and tempera, and you can just make colors, not even the stage design. I mean, you can make on paper just colors to see your colors. Whatever you do on that paper, it's the same thing. I mean, we use plastic colors, acrylic colors we use in a stage design. And then you can put at night, you can put a flashlight and you can see the colors, what they do.
Okay, because I was trying all these really dark colors, really dark blue that seemed black. And then I thought, wait, light doesn't work. It didn't work for me. I had lots of red lights and different lights. It didn't work. And also when I was brainstorming for the costumes, if I have something so black and dark, I can't have dark costumes, and you can't have quite really very light costumes in Macbeth. I believe
they have to be...
Yeah.
They have to be seen somehow. But you can go to other, I mean, if you somewhere you need black, I mean, only one wall can be black. It doesn't have to be all of them. If you need, I think Godot was black at the end, back. Around, the box was black. But then all the design, which was from the half height down, it was all gray. And this year also, it was all gray, and then there's a lot of whites by hand. So you decide on a base color, but you can do that on a small scale.
Yeah.
You can just try it.
Yeah, I know.
And you just actually think that there's always the 3 black walls of a theater, okay? You just leave them there. And then you start working in front.
And also, if you have any suggestion, considering the volumes in the stage design, I had also an issue with that. And to be honest, to be able to do in a week or 10 days such work, it's, very, very challenging. But
it depends on the movement.
volumes,
well, direction gets in there. It depends on what space you need for the to showgush, for the volumes. How will they move? What space will they leave, That's an architectural, constructual thing.
Yes, and I'm experimenting out. I believe these days I'm gonna find out what to do, but
okay.
Yeah.
Make it in a model. Make it in a model, in a 3D, just any kind of carton. Make it there με ένα κλιμακόμετρο αν μπορείς. Just make it on scale there. It's much easier. When you see the actual height and size of something, then you decide what you want to do. I think I had, it's not here. Where is it? To see it. I don't know. I have it on Instagram or maybe on the theater, the model. I don't know where it is now. But this is how they all work. I mean, you do models. You decide on the sizes on the models, and when they are made on stage, they are actually very close to reality. Very, very close to reality. Just try some attempts there with the sizes.
Okay. Okay. I believe this is gonna work.
Okay.
Thank you, Mika.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yes, Catherine.
Yes, Catherine?
Yes, I'm just inquiring whether this assignment is, are we having 2 assignments or it's one? Because at the beginning of the lesson, the questions that you posed up, then at the end
your final assignment, the costumes are only now. Whatever other assignments I ever put were research and writing. So to make costumes, you need to choose from the plays that we said today.
The research is, the assignment is about costumes.
What questions?
Okay, at the beginning of the
about play. No, there were not questions at the beginning, the end only. You need to find a play in order to do costumes.
Ah, okay. And the plays at the end of the class.
Yes. But all the plays...
She's mixing with other tasks from other subjects. Sorry, Mika.
Yes, I know, but I told her today, anyway, whatever you have is from all our presentations. The other questions, the other time, were connected to a specific Renaissance era. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm meaning
today only.
At the beginning of the class.
Today.
Yes, today.
Today.
Ones of that you're saying of taking note, that we take note on this. You focus on which writer. Yes. Is it connected with this one of the research or
All
on the plays and the writers? That's what I'm inquiring.
we talked about plays today.
Yes.
So if we talked about plays, can you see this?
Which one?
The last page here, can you see it? I'm sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
Medea, Macbeth, yes.
Yes, exactly. From here, you choose a work in order to work with.
To make costumes.
Okay. This one you're saying. So
yes, this one.
but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Whatever we talked about today. The only thing that is extra is the plays from the other Medea, Macbeth, and Shakespeare that we did in our other presentations. From here from Beckett down, it's what we did today.
Oof, I'm not understanding.
So you just choose a play. Can you choose a play that you like from all the classes? Medea. Great. You choose Medea, yes. No problem. Medea was analyzed in the other presentations.
Yes, so
you can work with that.
Which assignment should I do with Medea? Okay, let me select that.
Costumes you need to do.
Okay.
But in order to do costumes, you need to do research. You need to write me the summary of the play. You need to characterize I have it in the other presentation. You can have all the characters analysis.
Then I make costumes for those characters, right?
You make descriptions. You analyze the characters so you can make their costume.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I think so. I will do what I'm thinking right now. Then if at all I miss out a point, I will send an email.
Okay, send me an email. Don't worry, Catherine. Send me an email.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay.
Labrini, my dear, give us a smile. And σήκωσέ μας λίγο.
So, send an email for whatever you want to choose, okay? Don't leave it. Just choose something that you like. Whatever you liked more, just choose it. And then
can I ask something?
Yes, Maria.
If I understand, we'll do something like you show us in another presentation. Your notes about Medea.
Yes, exactly.
You have a sketch and
notes.
Yes, notes. Something and like that, you know.
Yes, whatever. Look, whatever when I research something and I find interesting things about Medea, they're the ones that I found interesting and I put them there for you. But if you research, you will probably find more details, more things that are interested to you. So it's quite personal what you research, okay? But you can start where I presented, and then you decide where you want to emphasize, let's say.
Okay.
You're free about that.
May I ask?
Yes, Dragana.
So, for example, I'm so attracted to do the train called Desire.
Yes.
So I can do these 3 characters. I already have this in my head.
Okay.
Exactly. So I do these 3 character, 3 pictures for you of my design.
Yes.
With the short story. With the short story under.
But you can research, you know what, you can research a bit the writer, and you can research also, like Kazan did a very good performance. So you can research in general around the play and see what is interested for you. I mean, there's many plays. I only presented 1 or 2. But you might find something that is more contemporary, let's say. I don't know, whatever you like.
Do I have to do it if it, for example, if it's that piece do I have to do it, for example, in 3 separate stages as well, or just a
No,
general one piece of the cloth
no,
for
this is up to you. This is up to you. I
Mm.
mean, plays that were done in many stages. Us specifically, we never do too many rooms or too many furniture or whatever. I mean, this is very typical theater. So
Yes.
you can decide to do it in one stage. Doesn't matter.
Yes, modern style.
Yes. There's it depends. You can do it in 3 levels and don't have any different spaces, only some elements of furniture or some kind of smaller elements, let's say.
Thanks. I wrote it.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Great. But Dragana, you are in Belgrade.
From tomorrow, I'm in Athena.
You're in Athens tomorrow, yeah. But in usual, you are in Belgrade.
Yes.
Okay, I will be there in October. I will be there for a week in October.
In October, you're coming to Belgrade. Okay,
Yes, yes, for another project. Yes.
Bravo, you tell me we are going to meet.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Are you now in Athens, may I ask?
No, I'm not. I told you I'm in the mountains.
All of you. I'm mixing now. Who did I ask? Everybody.
No, Labrini only, but she's running around.
Exactly. I want to meet up.
Panos. Yes, you can meet Ioanna, Maria, if they're in Athens and they're not running away from the heat. I don't know.
Exactly, guys. Let's exchange the telephone. Everybody from the group who will be in Athens.
Yes, we can send you the emails also. From emails.
Yes. In email you
can.
Yes. So we can meet up, really.
Okay.
Welcome, Dragana.
Really.
And Labrini too.
Of course.
Yes, we can go. Yeah, we can go out for coffee.
My pleasure.
I ask her on her
She
lesson.
can show you costumes. That's the only thing she can do. She can show you many costumes also, but out. Take her out. Okay, if there's no other questions, what about you in Uganda? I was in Uganda. I don't know when I'm coming.
We are coming to Uganda.
Yes, we were in Rwanda also, Uganda. I don't know next year.
Congo, we have to join the Congo.
Yes.
I was talking about projects in Congo. Then it would be nice.
I haven't been there. Yeah, that would be interesting. So, okay, think about it a little bit, okay? Because we will see each other next week anyway. So think about it. If you do,
next week
if you do like an hour research and you find some images and you find some theater plays, then you will have a better idea of what you want.
Exactly.
Pano, κάτι είπες, next week we're going to do the second part of pattern and forms.
It's the last one.
It's the last, yes. It's the last, and then we meet, I think, end of August, beginning September, probably, beginning September. Okay. All right, then. So have a good night. Thank you for today.
Thank you.
And any questions in my email, okay?
Bye. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, MIKA. Thank you
Bye,
all.
Mama.
Thank you,
Bye.
Panas.
Bye.
Bye.